When you were in high school, you had a teacher ask you to write an essay on what you wanted to be. What was your response?
I don't know what I want to be, but I know one thing I don't want to be, and that's a secretary. Is that Phil? This is Elizabeth Hawley. Can you look far ahead and make an appointment at Tuesday the 5th, 10:30? Yeah. At the hotel. That's correct. Oh, a.m., yeah. No, not at night, in the middle of the night, no. Okay? It'll be very nice, and look forward to seeing you. Thank you, bye. My. I'll take care of that silly Britain. When I was 2 years old, my mother and my brother, who was 3 years older than I, moved to Huntington, Indiana. And my father, he was based in Detroit. So he would come and visit us occasionally, but I didn't see much of him. I became much more attached to my mother. And then, during the terrible bottom of the Depression, we came to live in a suburb of New York called Scarsdale. The mother was active in the League of Women Voters. I didn't articulate it, and I didn't join any group about it, but I always felt that women should be equal to men. Why not? I decided to go to the University of Michigan. After I got out of university, I went to New York City to earn a living. The research job at Fortune was partly research as we know research, but also go out and interview the people. So after having done a steel company story and this company story and that, I just was plain bored. I wanted to do something different, but I didn't know what. So to find out what, I quit my job at Fortune and I launched myself around the world. I learned a lot about the world. I always traveled as much as I could by surface. So you get to see the country, you chat with local people who can talk a bit of English. And when I ended up here in a very interesting time and hit Nepalese history.
Kathmandu, capital of forbidden Nepal, has more foreign visitors now than ever before. The 36-year-old King Mahendra has marked his coronation by lifting the curtain from his strange country, where a third of the population are engaged in load carrying of one form or another, so primitive are Nepal's communications. The only Hindu reigning monarch, Mahendra is a king with modern ideas who believes his country has a part to play in the world.
Dear Mother, greetings from one of the more remote spots on Earth. Here one really feels oneself to be in Asia, timeless Asia. I actually moved into my apartment last Sunday. This week I'm busy being time correspondent. Sometime soon, probably this afternoon, Sir Edmund Hillary, conqueror of Everest, comes out of the mountains with what is alleged to be the skull of an abominable snowman. Thus do we keep busy in Kathmandu. Dear Mother, I am now driving a new car. New, that is to me. It's actually a beautifully performing Volkswagen. This one leaks neither rain or cold air. The engine starts in cold weather. I can take 3 instead of only 1 passenger. It climbs hills like a breeze, and it rides much more smoothly. It's a nice royal blue. You see, I didn't go looking for anything. You see, this is middle 1960s. If somebody wanted somebody else to help them in Kathmandu, who to go to? Who would speak English? Who was native English speaker? Who would have enough sense, you know, education to understand what that was needed? Who was here? Who had time? That's me. And Reuters, the international news agency, needed a correspondent here and would ask me if I would be their Reuters correspondent. That was me. I thought I'd be here for about three years, maybe. But I got jobs here and interesting things and interesting people, and just inertia kept me here. I'm still here, 50 how many years later? Well, it was really my first expedition report for Reuters. The expedition had a member named James Ramsey Ullman. He was the official chronicler of the expedition. Well, he stayed in Kathmandu and gave a press briefing every day at 6 o'clock, following a 5 o'clock radio contact between Kathmandu and base camp. The North Carolinian Army officer gave me a single sideband radio, which I put in the back room. I would tune in and listen to the news. There were 2 telephones at the Indian Embassy telegraph office. One of my helpers in my team, he would call one number. You don't hang up, and it's blocked for a long time. And then I would call the other number and pass on the latest hot news. We didn't make a lot of friends. Well, we did get a few scoops that way. First ascent was on the 1st of May. By Jim Whitaker and Nawan Gambu Sherpa. But it was very exciting drama. These mountains were being climbed for the first time. Now you started meeting expeditions. And where are they going and what are their plans and so on. And then if it seemed interesting, I'd follow up. It's kind of like ambulance chasing in those days. Actually, this is how I got launched into doing this, keeping up all these records. Some people climb mountains to test themselves. You're pushing your body to the utmost limits. And some people go over the limit and die. If it's Everest, it's bragging rights. Go home. I climbed Everest. Look at me. And another reason is there's a very simple goal. There's nothing complicated about it. The goal is to get to the top of the mountain. Instead of mully goals when you're back in your job and you got all kinds of... Well, you got the job and you got the family probably and God knows what all. It simplifies your life.
And we got to the top at 2 p.m.
Everybody get to the top?
Yes.
Nobody turned back?
No.
What was the weather like? And you got to the top at what time? Where were you when the rock hit you? How much rope did your team fix, you know? So you abandoned the climb. Whose body, you know? What nationality? You had only one Sherpa with you. And nobody broke a leg?
No.
Nobody got black fingers or toes?
No.
Why not? And you let me know when you're about to come back to Nepal.
Okay, I will.
I want to follow your Nepalese career. All the best.
Can I get you?
There, go ahead. It didn't hurt. Didn't hurt a bit. Colonel Jimmy Roberts taught me everything I knew to begin with about mountain climbing and mountain climbers. When a mountaineer would come and tell me what they were going to do, I would talk to Jimmy. Now, this team says they're going to do this. Is that interesting? Is that important? Is Is that the first? And what kind of problem it presented? He was a bachelor. He loved his whiskey too much. I remember driving past him after we'd left a very late and very liquid party. He was standing like this against a lamppost. He looked as though he was holding up the lamppost. Well, God knows the lamppost was holding him up. Yeah, I got a little bit high myself, I must confess. He knew the mountains. As a Gurkha officer, he had to learn Nepali. He knew Sherpas, and he put together the first commercial trekking business in the world. In the early days, he would go on the trek. So who's minding the store? Handling correspondence, meeting people who came during his arrives at the airport in his absence. That was me.
A lot of mountaineers, when I told them I was doing this story, they all wanted to know, who did Miss Hawley love? Who did she love? How do you feel when they say that sort of thing?
Just shrug it off. None of your business. I don't want to get married. You have to compromise in married life. You and he have to work it out. I don't want to compromise. I want to do what I want to do. I'm too independent for marriage. I'd be a terrible wife. And I'm no good as a housekeeper. I don't know how to cook.